Leave meeting.
Still there.
Leaving meeting. Leaving. Take it easy.
Still there.
Jimmy, thanks for getting
Hi,
there.
Curtis.
That crosstalk was very fun, and thanks. For
I
being
hope it
here,
was.
right?
I feel like we overtook it, and I apologize for that.
No. It'll be a good contrast. The premise of this is that we do play a couple songs, and they spark some inspiration. With Richard Kind, you want to guess how many songs we got to?
Well, it sounds like what you said. You get to zero.
Zero songs.
Yeah, I'd like to think you get to zero during my segment too, because I think you just reserve the music for when it's a lull.
Yeah, right. I'm not going to play it in the background. If someone requested me play a song, here's the thing. I do not know a lot about music. I'm putting that on the table. So if someone says play, like one person, Jeremy said, play Thin Lizzy, I wouldn't even know where to be, what it sounds like. So I play 30 seconds loud.
You would play The Boys Are Back in Town by Thin Lizzy.
All right.
I know that song.
That one I know. I didn't know it was a Thin Lizzy tune, but yeah, it goes, the boys are back in town. The boys are back in town. That one I do know.
Let me ask you a question, because I heard you, I was listening to, I don't know if it was when you were on with Richard or, boy, I apologize. I don't know the actress's name, but she's very, very talented, who was on earlier.
Yeah, Justine.
Justine, is it Lupe or Loop?
Loop.
Who, by the way, is just amazing on Succession, as that entire cast is. But so you were talking to one of those two as I was bouncing, watching on the YouTube before I joined you guys. Not YouTube, the lonelyjukebox.com. Yeah. And you mentioned that you're a bluegrass guy who plays banjo.
That's right.
So I will confirm for you, you're not a music guy. Just based on now that I've done my stupid joke.
Yes.
How can you say you're not a music guy when you play banjo, which is some people argue is the hardest instrument to play?
Sure. I mean, just that in school, when all the kids were listening to Green Day and things like that, I think to me Green Day is like a metaphor for every song when I was growing up. I had no interest. It felt very adult to me. I had no interest in it, and my parents didn't have a lot of music either. My mom exercised to the Beach Boys, and there was and my dad really likes the Oak Ridge Boys, and that's about it.
So what would you be listening to then? Like, how did you get into the banjo? Like, is it Lefty Frizzell? Is that a banjo player?
I think he's a guitar player.
Okay.
I picked it up a little bit. I always liked it, but I didn't start playing until I was 25, 26. I was in Washington, D.C., and I had a lull, a six-week lull between improv shows for whatever reason. And I said, I got to do something. And I drove an hour to a guy in Virginia and bought a banjo and started taking lessons. DC is apparently a bluegrass town. All these bluegrass musicians, they were in Nashville for the longest time, but then there was no work there. So they migrated up to like Baltimore and DC, where there's work, apparently. And that's why DC is a bluegrass town too. So
I didn't know that. And that's interesting. What made you decide you wanted to play the banjo? Because everybody in the world's always said, hey, you know what sounds horrible to my ears? The banjo. What made you choose that?
I think, and I agree 100% about the sound of it. However, if you walk into a room with it's shaped in a funny way. So it's both a funny instrument, and when it's done correctly, it is nice. Earl Scruggs is like the father of the banjo.
That's why I meant to say Earl Scruggs when I said Lefty Frizzell. So I apologize.
So, if you listen to the Earl Scruggs at Carnegie Hall, which was like a big deal because they let these, backwoods folks into Carnegie Hall. It's a terrific album. That's kind of like one, and that's what spread bluegrass to the world. Okay. And like really since then, like Oh Brother Where Art Thou was like a big influence on bluegrass, and those like the two biggest influences.
I agree that I thought that soundtrack was terrific. Whether people liked the movie or not, it's a different story. I enjoyed it. I thought George Clooney was great, as he is in everything.
That's right.
I agree. I crap on the banjo. Yet whenever I hear somebody play the banjo, I enjoy the hell out of it. So I don't know why I'm. I guess I always just kind of think of, to your point, of a guy walking into the room with the banjo. I kind of remember that from like in grade school, where they go, "Oh, we got a guest for you today, students," and then here comes this weirdo hippie with a banjo, and always way too proud of it, and just way too comfortable for what was happening.
Everything you said is true. Sometimes I'm guilty of it, but you know what? Sometimes other people ask you to get the banjo out. And do I have it in my car just in case they ask? Yes, but I wasn't going to bring it out.
You did, damn right you do. Hey, can I ask you a question before? Because I know you have to reset this too and explain to maybe people that are just joining now, the Jimmy Pardo segment has begun. But that behind you, is that a veterinary's office, a veterinarian's office? What do you have going on? Are you doing some sort of procedures back there?
Well, I'm making myself available if asked. I will serve if asked, but no one's asked me. No, that's my kitchen table, but I got a lot of plants on it.
Okay, it's a kitchen. This angle, it looks medicinal.
Yeah. No, so this is just my desk, but back there is my kitchen.
Jesus, that is a crazy. What do they call that?
Perspective, right?
Perspective, yes.
Back here is my kitchen table.
I see.
Up here.
I thought that desk was part of what was happening in the other room. That is.
No. This is just my desk. Here's a book about. I have some props up here. I'm not going to lie. It's answers to B questions. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
I only do A questions. I don't deal with the secondary questions.
Attaboy.
Don't attaboy me. Don't you attaboy me, you dickhead. Not going to allow that. So I apologize. I not unlike Richard I don't know how to shut up. Please explain to the people how and why you're doing this and how they could donate.
For those of you just joining, or those of you who've been here and are confused, this is the Lonely Jukebox. In my town, as in many towns, all the bars are closed by law. And using the Touchtunes app on my phone, I was able to see that all the jukeboxes are also turned off, except for one. It's in the airport pub and package. And so I am playing songs on that jukebox live. And if you send me $1.20 using Venmo or another service, I'll play that song on that jukebox. Nobody will hear it because the bar is empty. But if you do that, I will then donate $2 to servers, bartenders, kitchen staff, hosts who have lost work during this shutdown. Wow. And that's the premise. And we're going to be doing this. I invited Jimmy on because that way you don't have to look at me the entire time as I describe it to you. And he knows a lot about music. So, maybe we'll talk about that and maybe we'll just chit chat. But to give the money, you should be on lonelyjukebox.com. That's where my Venmo is written. And that's the key. The phones are open for your suggestions.
So a quick question. I got to follow up on what you just said, and hopefully the people that are watching right now will donate this money and so on and so forth, so that I could leave here feeling like I was a successful guest. Are you sure there's nobody there? Like, is there a janitor that when all of a sudden, Vogue by Madonna pops up, he gets the crap scared out of him like he's in a Scooby-Doo episode? Like, is there a chance a human being would be just sweeping up and then all of a sudden, music and they're rattled and then a mop bucket spills over? Yeah,
I appreciate you thinking of that janitor. I went to the airport pub and package the other day. I yanked on the door. It's closed.
Okay.
Closed. Yeah.
But doesn't somebody have to go there from time to time to make sure that that rats don't take over? Like, doesn't there have to be some sort of human movement so that vermin don't get comfortable?
I don't know. I mean, how they you're not supposed to go out and travel. How are they going to get there? And you know what? It's also, I'm not there right now. Your theory may hold true. And I think we're providing a service to that person rather than frightening them. Is my
Do you think, and I only thought about this because of what you just said. First of all, I think you are providing a service if that's in fact what's happening. But do you think there's a chance that this bar is open and they've just told you they're closed because they're sick of you and your boozy ways showing up over there?
I am not welcome at the airport pub anymore.
Why are you not welcome there anymore, Curtis? I'll play along.
Well, it's located right behind an airport, so I like to hop in there, and then I go to the airport and take a few planes for a joyride. So
okay,
yeah.
And what is it? Is it because I'm not familiar? Is it a major? Is it an international airport, or is it like a Cessna airport?
It's a Cessna airport, very rarely used. Most famously, it did have a very small air show from like 1966 to 2003. The gentleman who used to own it, that's Paul Stagger. We lost him at 96 years old. So it doesn't have, no one's organizing that anymore. It's hard to organize an air show. So
it's interesting growing up, and I'm sure it was the same for you. I went to day camp as a kid, during the summers, and every year the part of the trip was you'd go down to this was in Chicago. You'd go down to Lake Michigan. And you'd watch the air show, and it was, the Blue Angels would come and do their thing, and skydivers would come in. And I actually found it to be pretty entertaining and fascinating. And then, but as a kid, you never think about how dangerous that is. And now, do they even do them anymore because of crashes and stuff like that? Or
They do still do them, but the one by me is gone. There's one an hour away in Greenwood Lake. I don't think they do it. So that there's probably 20% of what they used to be, but I still see some advertisements. Yeah.
I would, I like that's something my son will never get to experience. I'm sure he'll be fine. But oh, son, you don't know the days of the air show.
One of the greatest things being a child of that air show is they had a little shtick that they would do. And I didn't know they did this every year until I went for a second year, but they have a guy riding a lawnmower and he's got a microphone on, and the guy riding the lawnmower goes to the announcer at the air show. And he says, I've been mowing these lawns for 20 years. I never get to fly in the planes. And they said, well, sir, you can't fly the planes. You're the lawnmower man. And then, he's like, well, I just want to be a passenger. And they say, fine, we'll let you be the passenger, Rusty, I've been doing this. And then he hijacks the plane and then he flies it around and they're explaining, sir, you got to pull up on the throttle. And it's quite a shtick. And the first year you go, you believe it.
Right.
Your son won't get that wonder of believing a lawnmower man's.
I'll tell him that story though. If that'll make you feel better, I'll pass that along to him, and I'll tell it as if it's my own. I'll be one. In my day, son, there was the lawnmower man would show up. No, not the Nicolas Cage movie. And then, that's what I'll do. That's my false premise of the day.
Let's pick one of the songs from the list to recognize the people that were putting these suggestions in here.
Okay.
We got one coming in right now. Oh, it's Springsteen. No, we're not doing Springsteen. I'll let you choose, Jimmy. I'm going to give you 3 options. We got MC Hammer, Too Legit to Quit. We got Bewitched by C'est La Vie. And Wind Beneath My Wings by
Wow.
Bette Midler.
I guess you got to go with Hammer, don't you? Wind Beneath My Wings is a beautiful song. I don't want that janitor breaking down because there's no question his wife left him. And then that second one, I don't even know that song. Was that C'est La Vie by Bewitched?
I think you have the artist is C'est La Vie. The song is Bewitched.
I don't have a clue what that is. I don't know that one. And is that a current song? Or is it from 93 to 2004, which I admittedly know zero about musically?
The answer is a song. Oh, it's an Irish girl group from 1997.
Well, that fits that little area that I spoke of. But you know what? I'm going to change my my request. I'm going to go with the Irish girl group. I don't know them.
Okay.
And, I like the Celtic.
Let's see if we can get this up on a.
All right, who's going to do this? Who's going to do this? Is Tyler going to do that for us?
I took care.
Okay.
Let's see.
I think I'm kind of losing you, Curtis.
No problem.
Oh, you're back. There you go.
Hang on.
All right. Now, why would somebody pick this song? Do they know it's on that jukebox? Or is this one of those jukeboxes that kind of has just access to Spotify or something and can play anything?
Yeah, it's Spotify, basically, yeah.
But who would choose that? What made them pick that song? That's interesting.
So I don't know exactly, but I told people there's 2 reasons you might pick a song. One is because you love this song and you just want to blast it into the night for whoever's listening, or you hate the song and you think it only deserves to be heard by nobody. So,
yeah.
I don't know. Then can you hate that song that we just played?
No, I don't think you can. Honestly, it doesn't sound like a song that I would hate. Although I could see people hating the Bette Midler song. I do not. I think it's a fine song, but I could see people thinking that's overwrought.
Yeah.
And who dislikes MC Hammer? That's a fun song.
Yeah. Overall, I get the impression these are songs people like, and if they don't, they would state it in the request. They're like, play this because I hate Glory Days. So no, I think she likes it. Maybe it takes her back to a place, or she thinks the rats and the COVIDs 1 through 18 that are sitting in the bar right now,
right,
lamenting their lives might, deserve a little pep in their steps. So
There's no doubt this bar's got some germs and viruses in it, right? I mean, there's
I would agree. I went to the bar the other day, and outside they had a sign that the sign's always there, not just because of the virus. It says no MC colors. Which
no MC colors. Now I don't know what that means.
No motorcycle club colors.
Okay. So it's one of those. So does that mean that, now listen, again, I don't know from this world. Does that mean that they're not allowed in? Like, hey, we're telling you we're not a motorcycle bar, or is it a motorcycle bar and they don't want trouble?
The latter. Yeah. If you want to put on your Hawaiian shirt, you're fine. Or if you want to wear like a generic Harley Davidson shirt, they're all for it. But once you put on the red and blue and white, the red and blue, I'm not in a motorcycle club either. So yeah, but you shouldn't wear your colors. So
how do you think the motorcycle guys would have liked if somebody puts on that "C'est La Vie" tune that we just heard? Do you think that's what I don't know what motorcycle guys are into. I mean, are they all into Leonard Skinner? I mean, what and Bon Jovi? What they have to have like more than that, don't they?
Yeah, no, I bet 1 out of 10 would like it and would try to get the others. Would hope the others would get on board, but would quickly say next time, Brutus.
I agree with you, and then I think is once they realize nobody's going to be on board, they're going, I'm just busting balls. Nobody likes this song. We're trying to fool you guys. Right? There's no way they would own up to it.
You really think that "C'est La Vie," the Irish group from 1997, my favorite group? Guys, come on.
Right? There's no way. There's no way.
I made a note when Richard was here, and I wrote down facile. He described you as facile, and I was hoping he would say it again because it's a great word. So I want to give you that compliment before our time is over. So you're facile.
Now here's what's going to happen. I'm going to have to Google it the second I'm done, so that I could either be insulted or complimented. I like to think the words it was wrapped around makes me think it's a positive. So I thank you.
Yeah, I'll pass that along. I just didn't want to forget. Jimmy, so the airport, as we just discovered, the airport pub is a little bit of like it's a dive bar. In your travels throughout life, have you had a favorite either dive bar or dingy restaurant or hole in the wall bakery that like sticks out for you?
I don't know if I have a favorite necessarily. I was a drunk for many, many years. I'm sober now. It'll be 21 years in July. But I was a massive drunk in the 90s. So there's a chance I don't remember what was a nice bar and what was a dive bar because it didn't matter to me as long as they had Miller Lite ready to go. I also, when I first started going on the road as a comic, which was the early 90s, and I kind of was just I don't want to use the word sheltered, but I was just a nice guy from the south suburbs of Chicago. I didn't really do anything crazy. And so when I went on the road, the comics would all say, hey, let's go to the strip clubs. Let's go to this bar. And so sometimes we would go to bars that were like, basically like somebody's, it might have even been like their garage that they converted into a strip club that then they had beer. It was so I've been to many of these places. Having a favorite would be weird and creepy. But I also went to ones like in Cicero, Illinois that were basically like speakeasies. You had to knock on the door and they would slide the little thing to make sure you weren't a cop. And when they saw that you were just a loser like me, drunk at 2 a.m, they would let you in, and then you'd go in there, and basically it was, I didn't know this, but I just thought I was going to get drunk. There was illegal activities with ladies going on, if you so desired. I just thought that the ladies enjoyed speaking with me. Little did I know that they were trying to drum up business. But apparently that's what they were doing.
It took 5 or 6 times of you being there, just not knowing what was going on.
I'd like to think I caught on before that, but I still would go because it was the thing. Like I said, we would do our shows, then we'd all go, and I couldn't even tell you the name of them. I don't have a clue. I'm not being cagey. But they'd say, hey, who wants to go to blah, blah, blah. And I remember one time we went and there was a comic named Scott who is no longer with us, I'm sad to say. Mm-hmm. And I said, hey, what goes on back there? And he goes, and he explained what goes on back there. And I said, well, do you ever do that? And he said, no, I'd rather buy a VCR. I'd rather buy something useful in my life instead of having 10 minutes with a woman that, and I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And so Oddly enough, I think that's the reason I never did it. Not the fact that it was, illegal or anything, but just the idea of, you know what? I think I'd rather keep my money too. That makes sense.
Yeah, and that reasoning is healthier. It's more likely to stick, to have that reason behind it. Because you may one day want to turn to a life of crime, but you'll never want to like waste your money.
100% agree.
Thank you.
Although that said, I guess for all the years I was a drunk, I wasted a lot of money just, buying all that booze. And I did spend money frivolously. There it is. Facile. In the 90s, I spent money stupidly is what I'm trying to say. There wasn't a concert in the 90s that I didn't go to. Like I would go, literally somebody would call up and go, "Hey, you want to go to that? You got it." And I would just buy the tickets and go. And then that bit me in the ass financially at the end of the decade.
Well, you got them all in while you could.
That's true. I can't go to concerts now. I think every show that I had planned to go to between, we were supposed to see Kesha on May 5th, and I think the Doobie Brothers in September. And I think that Doobie Brothers show is the only one that hasn't been canceled yet. Everything else has been postponed and pushed back or just out and out canceled. And I think my wife and I and my friends, I think we had like 7 shows that we were planning on going to. And right now that Doobie Brothers one is our last hope. Do
you think, I had some shows canceled too, and I held out to the last minute, like, because you think you're special. You think the Doobie Brothers are like, no, hang on. I know we got this, everybody. Or I think
isn't the logic maybe that by September, maybe there'd be some sort of like the most optimistic view is that we'd be able to go back to concerts, but I don't think we can even in September, right? I mean, there's no way that social distancing is going to be like, right? It's a concert. You can't sit every other seat.
Right. If what we're being told today is true, then of course not. But it's okay to have some place in your heart or your head that's like, well, maybe. I think our brains are not capable of processing 5 months from now.
Right.
And that's okay. It's a big ask.
When this whole thing started, which was in I guess when we all started like canceling things.
Yeah.
I was supposed to be doing a gig in Palm Springs on when was it? I guess at the end of March. And at the beginning of March, as I told my agent, I think we got to cancel everything. It doesn't seem to make sense. And I had one was Portland, Oregon, which I was supposed to do at the end of April here at Helium. And I said, so cancel Palm Springs, cancel Salt Lake City, and then cancel Portland. And he goes, well, let's take it one by one. He said, because if this is still happening at the end of April, we're in trouble. And it's like, here we are coming up on the end of April, and there's not an end in sight. So it's, this is effing weird, man.
Talking about you going through that process. This is a thought I had a month ago, and I thought it was an original thought, and now I think everyone had it. Have you had fans like point out that they're behind on episodes? So like we all knew how bad it was, and they were still listening to like February, and you guys are just like, it's fine, don't worry about it. Like it's exciting it's like watching a disaster movie, and you guys are like heading right towards it.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. I agree with that because in fact we did a show at Vitello's Live. Never Not Funny did a Vitello's Live, and I was doing a joke at the time about the coronavirus, and I would say, I've actually got the Corolla virus, which is where somebody forces you into a room to listen to Adam Carolla's podcast for hours on end. And it's not a horrible joke. It's just it's a Norm Crosby play on words type of thing. But I guess we were just flippant about it because, like every other thing like this, N1, like SARS and the N1, the bird flu.
MERS, yeah.
It all seemed like, it's going to be a crisis, and then it never was. And then, so I think we all flippantly thought, well, here's another one where China's going to be affected. Maybe Europe will get it, but we're the United States of America. It's not going to happen here. And then slowly but surely, I guess the experts knew better than jackass comedian Jimmy Pardo did, but
for once,
the experts knew something that I didn't know for once.
I got a pal named Joe who's a big fan of you as well. And he texted me this. And because I don't know much about the Doobie Brothers, I don't know if it's funny. He texted me and said, the Doobie Brothers refunds are getting handed out by hand. So,
well, I guess his joke is that there's not a lot of people. Is that the premise behind Joe's piece of business there? Let me tell you something, Joe. They're getting inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this year, and they're legends. How dare you, Joe? How dare you?
Um, someone just texted me.
Good.
No, Tyler just texted me and said the artist was C'est La Vie and the song was Bewitched. He apologized. He screwed it up in the spreadsheet. And I just want, Tyler, I want to forgive you on air. We're in a pandemic right now. So.
Well, wait, no, but that's what you said, Curtis. You said the artist was C'est La Vie and the song was Bewitched.
Did I?
I want to say that's what you said because there is a song called C'est La Vie by Mink. Is it Mink DeVille or Robbie DeVille? C'est La Vie, C'est La Vie. That's a song. So that's why it was weird to me that you were saying that the artist was C'est La Vie and the song is Bewitched. Is that how it is?
The correct answer is Bewitched is the band.
Oh,
C'est
you
La
did
Vie
say
is
it
the
wrong
song.
then. Yeah, you said it wrong.
Yeah. And I wanted on record that listen, we make mistakes here. This is for a good cause, and but I apologize profusely.
I don't think first of all, nobody gives a crap. Certainly not me, and certainly not Bewitched. They're just excited that somebody's talking about them, whether they got it right or wrong.
That's right, and they probably get a little bit of the action on this jukebox. So
you know what? You make a great point, right? If ASCAP is still keeping track of everything, right now the members of Bewitched are going, "Hey, somebody's listening to us in Jersey."
I'd like to think ASCAP is still up, even with the virus. They got someone keeping track.
I would think so. I mean, right? Sirius XM and radio stations are still going strong. So I would imagine that the artists are still making a couple of bucks while we're listening to their tunes.
Jimmy, I kept you here half an hour. I'm about to wrap up and say thank you. I mean, does that seem fair?
Yes, that seems very fair, Curtis. No, that doesn't seem fair at all.
All right, fine. I'll keep you around.
No, that's wonderful. I'm glad I could help out in any way. And this was a heck of a lot of fun. When you emailed me and told me what the premise was, I thought, to your point, I did hear you mention to Richard earlier that your dad said, why even play the songs? It's like, you have to play the songs. Yeah. If you don't play the songs, then you're not doing this. Like it's, I think that's the coolest thing. So I was honored that you asked me. So thank you so much, and hopefully you'll raise a couple of bucks.
Yeah, absolutely. We're in the black, several $100s.
That's great.
Yeah, and Jimmy, I'm a big fan of yours, and I took a risk bringing you on because I borrow a lot of lines from you. I even said "attaboy," and now it's clear to people that you've had an influence on me as well. So I love seeing you.
Well, first of all, I'm very flattered that you would say that, and take him and run with him. I would. I still think I'd do some Richard Lewis stuff in my act, and I'm a pretty strong personality myself, so I am not insulted by it. I'm flattered.
Well, that's great. I appreciate your time. It's helping out a great cause, and it's a lot of fun. I'm gonna when you're ready to go, you'll have to leave. I'm not gonna end it because once you leave, I'll keep talking about what.
Okay, so I'll say goodbye. Thank you so much for having me, and good luck, and see everybody. Stay safe.
Take care.
I'm now going to muck around like I'm Richard Kind, who doesn't know how to use a computer. Hang on, here's my email. I can't. All right, leave meeting. See you, Curtis. Nice to virtually meet you.
Likewise. Take care.